Hello, guys and girls. Happy Monday. Hope everybody is doing well today. Look, we are back,
It's
and
true.
we are back with the man himself, Salty Texas C. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I was busy working, and totally lost track of time. And suddenly my phone is pinging. And I'm like, why won't people leave me alone? And it's like, oh, I got something important to do. So I am really glad to be here, and I'm glad that you are patient with me because I have bad administrative skills, Purple Valkyrie. Thank you.
Wow, it just goes to show how much work you put into making these videos. And I won't tell everybody what you're working on at the moment, but I got to see a
Mhm.
sneak peek, and guys, you're gonna like this. It's awesome.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to look at things in the long game. And I'm not talking Mauler length. I mean, all respect to Mauler, but sometimes, it's just the rhythm of things. It's obnoxious. And yes, it has to do with the Rings of Power. And I think people will be like, oh, yeah, of course. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about something cool and fun.
Yes, yes. I decided we haven't done this for a while, and since it's a
Yeah.
subject we both love, we thought, you know what, let's do some woo woo for a while. But before I pull up the first article, let me say hey to everybody. So we have got Jacob Ironside, great to see you. Emotionally Unstable Amphibian, hey there, good to see you. Das Wolfen, hello. Gun Bunny, hello, lovely. We've got Magitech Mags, hey, sweetheart.
Wow.
Good to
Full
see
house.
you. We've got a great chat today. D-Bird Martin, great to see you. Paul Cook, hello there. Great to see you. Smile for a while. Hello, lovely. Hey, good to see you. Let's see, I'm not missing anybody. SJ Almighty, hello, love. We've got the doctor in the house, a Dagger Outlaw. Good to see you. Hey
Hail.
there. Southern Scottish Davros, hey there. Good to see you as well. Great to see everybody. Oh, it's so
Wow.
good. We've got a
I
great
know.
chat. Hey,
Spike
Spike.
in Madness, Zakrot. Oh, Lord, just 315. Clobber in Times is in the house. The one and only Daniel dropping bombs as soon as he's on target. Look at this guy.
Look at this amazing chat. Great to see you guys. And thank you, Daniel. Thank you so much. Let me just see what we have got. And it is a Shiba Inu with a heart.
I
Thank
love
you.
those.
Those are
I love
so darn
those.
cute. Oh my
I
gosh. Thank
know.
you.
I know. It's like, I wish they had other dog breeds, but you can't go wrong with the Shiba Inu. What I'm
Yes.
frustrated by is I wish they had Woo Woo themed super stickers, like a
Yes.
Bigfoot and a Loch Ness monster, and like alien abduction and
Aliens, yeah. little
alien autopsy.
little UFO to go across the screen. That would be
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yeah.
Great to see everybody. So, shall we pull up the first article? Like I said, it's been a while since we talked woo woo, so
Yes,
we've got quite a bit to cover today, and we're
yeah.
kind of probably going to meander all over the place, but that's okay. That's what we do.
It's
So,
true.
the first one that I wanted to pull up today, kind of tying in with the poll that I put up, the belief apparently in Sasquatch has risen in the US since 2020. Now, before I kind of go into this article, is this something that you think has always been prevalent? Because of all the cryptids, when I think of North America, I think of Bigfoot.
You know, being a kid in the 70s and living in the middle of nowhere, I mean nowhere in deep woods near the Canadian border, it was all too plausible to believe in Bigfoot. I still believe that there is something out there. I do
Mm-hmm.
believe that I think there are cryptids that are out there. We can have a more detailed conversation as to, are they interdimensional? Are they extraterrestrial? Does the CERN Haldren Collider have anything to do with this? I
Probably.
mean, it's here's the thing. There are so many things that we don't know that I'm willing to say that I'm pretty sure there is something. What it is, I don't know. You know?
I like that approach because I like to keep open-minded. I do believe in Bigfoot. I think there is something out there. There's just too many people for too long that have seen something.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, in having grown up way up there in the woods near the Canadian border, when I was a kid, I was pretty sure something was following me. When I was in the woods looking for a lost dog, I've told this story on your channel before,
mhm.
and it wasn't just my overactive imagination, And then living in the Pacific Northwest, man, you see a lot of crazy things out on the far Olympic Peninsula and out on that isolated Pacific coast. I'm just gonna say that.
Yes, and if anywhere they would survive, I can imagine they're, away from big pockets of civilization.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let me just say a big thank you to Magitech Mag. She sends us a super sticker as well, and it's the Shiba Inu with the hearts kind of floating out.
It's a Shiba Inu party. That's my kind of party. Just bring some bourbon and pizza and Shiba Inu heart stickers.
Heck yes.
That's awesome.
And hello to Leia Rose. Good to see you, sweetheart. Hope you're having a good day. And Psychodwarf 9, I see you.
Psychodwarf 9. I just have to say it. Sorry.
Psychodwarf says, purple and salty, that's the thing. Sasquatch are aliens on vacation. Well,
they're undocumented workers, depending on how we want to play this thing. I have to make that joke because we live in a ridiculous world. It's interesting. Das Wolfen says Missouri has its own Bigfoot called the Momo, but he says they have one near him called the Beeman Monster. My mom saw it when she was a teenager. Beeman is a small town east of him in Missouri. There's a lot of those things.
That's
regional monsters.
Yes, because I think Florida has the skunk ape as well, if I remember correctly, which is similar. But let's see what they've got to say, because I thought this was a pretty interesting article. Yeah. So, America's belief in Bigfoot is on the rise. Interesting. In a civic science survey from mid-July, 13% of the US adults say they agree with the statement. Bigfoot/Sasquatch is a real living creature, which is up from 11% who said the same in May 2020, which is an 18% increase.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, if you can believe the election results from November 2020, which I consider to be entirely implausible, you can believe in the nature of cryptids and aliens, and you could believe that there are things that are up there that we have seen for thousands of years. There people, the Native Americans who were here, even the people who were here before what we now call the Native Americans, probably back, what do we want to say, 12, 13,000 years before that big asteroid impact that changed everything. Maybe there were a hell of a lot of Bigfoots all over North America before the floodwaters came. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
It doesn't, and it says, in fact, belief in conspiracy theories, in quotations, is up across the board as well in the last 2 years.
What's a theory? What's a theory? What's left that's a theory, guys? Seriously. Check out the CDC website lately. Yeah, you looked at what's going on with the food processing plants? Your carbon footprint score? What's a conspiracy theory? What's left? Seriously.
How far out there do we have to go for it to be a conspiracy theory nowadays? Yes.
I want there to be Bigfoot. I want there to be the Loch Ness Monster, because that would tell me that somehow the universe makes sense. What we've got now, this makes no sense. What we got going on, guys. But hey, that's not the kind of show, and I'll stop talking. It's not my channel.
It all interlinks, which is always funny to see the way the patterns form up. But this little graphic I think is quite cool. So what they've done is the three big ones, I guess. So we've got Bigfoot, we've got Loch Ness, and we've got aliens. So all of these have been on the rise. So the most significant is aliens have visited Earth, which has gone up from 28 to 31%, people believe. Bigfoot has gone up from 11 to 13, and then Loch Ness has gone just up 1%.
Well, all of those things, especially Loch Ness, and I know that's not this kind of a show, but they actually have found dinosaur remains that were the same type of dinosaur, or what would be the right word, the large reptilian water-bound thing that was around there on the shores in recent excavations around the loch itself. And then you look at like the UFO stuff. I mean, didn't the United States Congress just piss away a whole lot of money for a nothing burger testimony for a whole lot of stuff, ignoring the multiple documented encounters with naval vessels at sea, with naval aviators encountering things? Instead, they show us stuff of somebody going past a drone or weather balloon. And it's
just a balloon goes floating past. Yes.
Yeah. I have a conspiracy theory that anybody in Congress actually cares about more than themselves. There's a conspiracy theory for you. Let's just say that.
And Daniel says Ichthyosaurus, and Das Wolfen says plesiosaur. Yes, thank you, guys.
That's what I'm saying.
We actually saw an Ichthyosaurus at the Dallas Museum. It was fascinating, the
Oh
fossilized
yeah,
remains, which is another
yeah.
show that I want to do. To
We have
kind of, yeah.
we have so much shot footage from a haunted hotel, like a legitimately haunted, not like this is Bob's $3 dump by the side of the road. This is actually a beautiful palatial hotel that where multiple deaths have been reported in downtown Dallas. And then of course the Dallas, what was it, Science Museum blew my
Hmm.
mind. One of the best like dinosaur exhibits I have ever seen. So we have to do a show on that for sure, Purple.
We do, yes. We've got a lot of footage to share, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. And just kind of harking back to this, but we really do love talking about these subjects. We love talking about, pop culture, but there's just something about being able to kind of let your hair down and talk conspiracy theories and ghosts and supernatural beings that really kind of get the juices flowing. And Magitech Mag says, what if we are being run by aliens?
That would explain a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That would explain a lot.
Well, if you if you listen to David Icke, he says that's the case.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Purple, you were wearing entirely show appropriate shirt. Why don't you get a close up of your awesome dinosaur shirt? She was showing me all the monsters earlier. It was great.
I'll go solo just to show you guys what it looks like. But there you go. So it's got all the little dinosaurs on. They're so cute. There you go. Love it.
That's awesome.
I love this shirt. It's so cute. There we go. And we're back.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I wanted to say something about I really like the dinosaurs on the hills, but I'm not going to do that. That would be really rude.
The ones on the high ground. Yes.
The ones on the high ground, on that grassy knoll, as they say. Yes.
Jacob Ironside says, I believe aliens are demonic. Well, there is a school of thought that think that it isn't aliens, it's actual kind of either dimensions or it is aliens and angels and demons.
Nephilim, there's the old Nephilim stuff from the Old Testament. It comes down to, if you didn't have the words to understand these from a physics standpoint, then you would have to come up with something that related to whatever your belief system was in a religious sense. And I'm not in any way discounting Christianity, Judaism, Islam, any of the religions. But what I'm just saying is if you look at it anthropologically, that would make sense.
Yes.
It is fascinating, though, because it's not just in Christian literature. Look at the Upanishads and look at the Vedas that talk about the flying Vinmanas that were going all around India. What's that about? What's up with pyramids shooting lasers at stuff and nuclear melt glass all over the Middle East? Just saying.
And we had a great talk with Cameron Pasha a couple of months ago on your show, and to hear his perspective from a Muslim point of view, and it is fascinating to know that all of these different religions, in essence, talk about the same thing. It is a incredible topic to talk about. Daniel sends us a super chat. He says, I had 100% legit ghost encounter. Another show. Well, save that for us, Daniel, because something. Yes.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I was going to say, Daniel, we were in the members chat and we might have had a tipple or two, some of us that were hanging out afterwards. I want to hear that story. I would very much like to hear that story. And anyone who's had an encounter like that, we have talked about doing this for a while, which is to bring on people who have had encounters. Now, if you've watched my Fire of Fandom video series, I do interviews with people and I let them talk. I would love to do some interviews with people related to paranormal experiences, aliens, any of those types of things, because I have one. I saw a UFO over British Columbia, and I've never seen anything like that before in my life, and no one can explain what the hell it was. So.
Absolutely, and I think this is a great topic to get people involved in. So yes, guys, if you do have anything, it doesn't have to be ghosts, but anything kind of paranormal or supernatural you've experienced, get in touch and we'll get that put together. Paul Cook says, what is scarier, lots of aliens or us being alone in the universe?
I think there's a third option. I think that third option is that we go out to another planet and bring, like, say, Mars or another planet, and bring back a bacterium or virus or something we don't understand given our own atmosphere. And we may think we understand how physics and biochemistry work. We're trapped in this fishbowl. here. And I'm not saying that all the rules can be broken of biophysics and biochemistry, but if you're dealing with completely different atmospheric pressures and a completely different physical reality, there's absolutely no reason there are things that we have no idea what the hell they could do or if they could exist. And if we start bringing that stuff back, it's actually going to be a real pandemic as opposed to a plandemic.
Yes. You ever seen War of the Worlds? That's what you're gonna get. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what you want?
Great book to read. Well, oh boy, there's a lot of things I want to say about where I wish it would land. In a certain...
Place your bets, folks.
Yeah. Guess where that one is. Yeah. Big Raj. Look at this. Look at that name. Big Raj.
Big Raj. Good to see you. Great to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. Yeah. Thank you, honey. He sends us a super sticker and it is a thumbs up. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Cool. You guys are awesome and you guys are on fire. I'm going through the chat at the moment and I'm trying to catch up. Felipe Demic says, was that a Licolottopus or a Mybutasaurus?
I mean, I'm flexible that way. You know what I mean? If it's the right dinosaur and we're in love, not saying it's not going to happen. That's how I roll.
Southern Viking, great to see you, says my grandmother dealt with a ghost. That is pretty damn awesome. Let's see what else we've got. Psychodorf says, salty purple, lots of funny lights over Kingman, Arizona. I lost time camping after some funny lights.
Yeah, in the 90s, over the Smoky Mountains, because I spent a lot of time out there leading outward bound, you see a lot of things out there. And those are some of the oldest mountains in the world. You know, they used to be the size of the Himalayas, just through time and erosion and then tectonics. A lot of very old things. And if you follow David Paulides' work on Missing 411, he talks a lot about the mineral content of areas and how that affects what people like to call paranormal phenomena, you know, especially if you're talking about granite or other types of things like that. Quartz, which is a receiver. Yeah, fascinating stuff. Yeah.
We kind of went into quite a bit of detail when we talked about the Skinwalker Ranch as well in Utah, which is basically a basin which has a huge mineral deposit. It is fascinating stuff. Yeah. Byron versus the world. Welcome. Good to see you. It says the problem is pseudo-academics throughout the 20th century shouting to the rooftops that UFO and paranormal encounters don't exist. This was done to safeguard their tenures.
True. And instead they invented 37 different new genders. But we're not going to look up. We're not going to look at it. We're just going to, that it can't be it. No, that's made up. That's the made up stuff, guys. Yeah.
Well, that's it. And the fascinating thing, especially when it comes to things like paleontology, because it is constantly, if you pardon the pun, evolving, we're learning things every day about these creatures, and they're digging up new fossils, and we're realizing stuff that we thought we knew 50 years ago was completely wrong.
Exactly. And a lot of the science, especially around asteroid impacts, has changed so much in the last 20 years, but compress it down to the last 10 years. They didn't know that there was a major asteroidal impact over North America that caused the meltwater flooding that it did. People just kept saying, well, these were rivers. These were just rivers that ran and washed away all virtually, thousands and thousands and thousands of miles of the Western United States. That was gradualism as opposed to a catastrophic event. And it was all wrong. It was all wrong. But you don't get to hear about that, how wrong our woke betters and our academic betters are.
Funny that, it just kind of gets swept under the rug. Yes. Yeah. You just mentioned about the West, and one of the things to do with this study, just kind of jumping back to it for a minute, people in the West are bigger believers than pretty much anywhere else we go by this. So would that kind of line up with what you would think to be the case? Obviously, because you talked about the Pacific Northwest and living out there.
Yeah, I mean, and you can correlate that with the number of sightings. I have another map, and we've used it before, I think, in other live shows or in videos I've done. It's a really good source, but, I think the first thing you have to do is look at population density. Now, obviously, you're not going to have a Bigfoot in New York City unless it's some crazy homeless guy who's, needs to shave in Times Square. I do believe there are aliens in Washington, D.C., but they're kind of the baby-eating kind, if you don't mind me saying that. But if you look at what's going on the West Coast, that's a correlation to a lot of the reported sightings. And of course, you have less population density as well, not to mention significant amounts of national parks that are out there from the Canadian border all the way down to Mexico. So.
Yes, it also gives a breakdown with age as well. So just like we found in 2020, it says Gen X, which are people aged 35 to 54, are more likely to believe in Bigfoot, whilst older adults are likely to be more skeptical. And I'm guessing anybody younger just kind of stared at them blankly.
It's true. They were too busy on Instagram putting a filter on them because they're. Oh, I'm not going to say that. Yeah, we'll just leave it there.
So we've got a little bit. So 18. So each of these has jumped up. I mean, 55 and older is the smallest category that jumped up. But again, it's people kind of Gen Z that has the biggest leap. And one thing that I've noticed throughout all of these different graphs and all of these different breakdowns that they've given, across the board, belief has risen, which I think is fascinating.
That's fascinating. There's a quote there that says, people who say they believe in Bigfoot were more likely than others to visit state or national parks at least a few times a year. So what does that tell you? That tells you if you have first-hand experience going into the wilderness. Now, a state park can be very different than, say, going into Glacier National Park or Olympic National Park or Yosemite or Sequoia. But at the same point, these are people who actually know what it's like to be in the woods, as opposed to, I would say a more urban concentrated population who thinks going out in the woods means letting their dog piss on a tree in a dog park. It's a very different experience. And I think you learn a lot. You learn to respect and understand how small you are and how idiotic you think you are with your technology when you're a couple miles hiked into a national park.
Yes, and that's another thing that comes back to when we talk about David Paulides and the missing 411, how people just kind of underestimate just how easy it is to get lost in places that are national parks, how easy it is to just wander off the path and you get turned around, you don't know where you are.
Yeah, it's almost like if you actually go out into the thing that you're talking about and do your own personal exploring and have experiences, that you might know what the hell you're talking about, right? As opposed to just trusting your television. I don't know, maybe I could be wrong.
This part I thought was pretty funny as well. So compared to non-believers, Bigfoot believers are generally more likely to be daily YouTube users, more likely to play a musical instrument, more likely to plan to invest in cryptocurrency, more likely
stack physical. Nope, sorry.
Yes, more likely to bet on sports online. I'm not a betting person, so no. More likely to believe in Loch Ness Monster. More likely to enjoy the 90s TV show, The X-Files. That's oddly specific.
Why isn't Barney Miller on here? Why isn't Charmed? Why isn't Star Trek? And why don't they say, who would you be more likely to enjoy Kurt Russell's The Thing movie? I mean, that's like, what the hell? Who came up with these questions? More likely to have cheesecake for dessert. It's like, what the hell does that have to do with Bigfoot?
I think Bigfoot wrote these questions.
Yeah.
And the last one was more likely to own a gun.
2A, baby. 2A, baby.
So it concludes, it's not our place to say whether or not Bigfoot is really out there, but we can say for sure that Sasquatch's grip on the American psyche is as strong as ever. Yeah. And I think that is absolutely the case, because I think people need something to believe in. Let me just pull this awesome map up. There we go.
Yeah. So this will correlate to a great degree, I believe, with the data with that poll that you had. And obviously you can see the concentrations of where people have seen, or the most reported sightings of Bigfoot, obviously concentrated in Washington, Oregon, you've got Idaho, Montana, the whole thing. And it is fascinating. It's I don't know if you can sit there and play the data picking game, with gender and political belief system and religion and all this other stuff.
Yeah, that's
people
kind of picking it apart a little bit much.
Yeah. I mean, to me, Bigfoot, I think just go out in the deep wild woods and get out there and see what happens. You know what I mean? Maybe you come back, maybe you don't. But It's called natural selection. Yeah, get some skills, but go outside. Get outside. Go to your national parks. Get out there. Get some bug bites. Take some great pictures. Go to the gift shop.
Yes.
Get the hell off
Don't go
the
near the
internet.
bison though, please. Stay away
No,
from the bison.
no. How many people need to be gored? Just gonna say that. Yeah.
Smile for a while. Hello, sweetheart. She says, missing 411 is pretty crazy. I don't
Oh.
advise listening to the podcast about missing hikers when you're in the middle of a 50-mile hike solo. Bad idea.
No, well, I mean, when I used to live out in a very rural area, a lot of what Mr. Politis said, and I would love to work with him someday. Purple and I
Yes.
both would love to have him on your show or my show or wherever. He's got fantastic books. Please go check out his books. Don't buy them on Amazon or eBay. He was a former police detective who started to notice things that were occurring in national parks, and then had rangers start to tell him about these disappearances and how the government really wasn't keeping track of this, and nobody was tracking these, and no one was figuring out where these kids who disappeared, and this has been going on for hundreds of years, people just disappearing. And bodies decompose, but skis don't decompose. Synthetic stocks on weapons don't decompose. Backpacks
People being
don't decompose.
found in places that have been searched half a dozen times.
Multiple times. Times they're searched, and somebody decides to come back a month later, and they're right there.
Almost like they've been dropped from the sky.
Yeah.
Weird stuff, but fascinating. And to see the patterns that he's kind of figured out over the years, it really is if it's something that you guys haven't looked into, I highly recommend it, because it is fascinating.
And he doesn't tell you why it's happening. He tells you what's happening, and then says, well, what do you think it is? So
we have got from Paul Cook. Thank you, Paul. Great to see you. Says that ancient pyramids popping up around the world from different religions makes me think ET involvement. Yes.
Whoa, see, we need to do that ancient impact and ancient civilization thing. I'm afraid to do it, because I don't think I'm going to do it credit. That's why I keep putting it off. But I firmly believe that North America was a very populated place long before they say the Bering Strait existed. I really believe that. I believe that the Native Americans who were here when the Europeans arrived maybe been survivors of that civilization. But I think that how could you look at the landmass of North America, as fertile as it was, even under 2 miles of ice, about the top third of North America covered? How would you not live here? How would you not grow food? How would you not have a flourishing civilization with all the water and resources and game? And it's something that's always bothered me, even when I was in elementary school, before I started to do my own research. Things along the lines of Randall Carlson and oh God, I have his book back there. The other guy. Do you know what I'm talking about? The British guy, Purple.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Graham Hancock.
Hancock. That's it, yeah.
I just needed to look at you and hear your English accent to go, it's Graham Hancock. But yeah, check out those two guys. Both of them are fantastic guests on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yes.
Really good stuff.
Yes, there's a great one about glacial melt and superfauna, which is a fascinating listen.
Yeah.
We've got a follow-up from Smile for a while. She said, yes, it did. It was so fascinating until my brain clicked in thinking how far away I was from society at that point. I was concealed carrying, so I knew I was fine, but brains play tricks. Well, I'm glad you were okay.
And that's the thing, though. I mean, I think, we can trigger our adrenals, in our fight or flight response. But I do think that when you get out in the woods and you spend a fair amount of time out there, you start to, your other senses, and maybe the senses that aren't as obvious, start to come into play. And you can hear things moving in the woods, and you can pay attention. You can smell the wind, and you can tell when the woods get quiet and the birds stop singing. And it's like, these are important things. You know what's not important? A lot of the bullshit they're telling us we need to worry about today.
Yes. It's amazing what comes back to you as a human when you put your phone down and you actually focus on what's around you.
Yeah.
You kind of get really kind of in touch with nature. And hello to Zach. It's good to see you.
There he
Hope
is.
You're doing well. There he is.
Mr. Canada.
D-Bud Martin says, how did they build such massive pyramids back then? They had whips. Massive. whips.
I do not believe those structures were built the way that they've told us. And it's not because I need to make up woo-woo. It's just, to me, it makes absolutely no sense. And you can get into quantifying why. But at the same point, look at the Sphinx. The Sphinx is so much older than what they told us. Dr. Robert Schoch from MIT, I believe, who did the analysis, went out there and said, this erosion was absolutely from massive torrential flooding of rain that occurred, wait for it, at about exactly the same time there was a major asteroid impact on North America, which melted all of the glaciers and flooded our country and threw billions and billions of gallons of moisture and water and debris into the air, so that you had torrential rainfalls for months throughout the entire planet, which is all archaeologically you can validate that. The problem is all these people who have their PhDs and that they have to know better. They don't want to admit it. But whatever.
And Ian, so forth, good to see you, says the best way to build a pyramid is to start at the top.
It's true. Just like Amway. Get in at the top. That's how you make the money, right?
Start at the top and work your way down. Exactly. So let me bring up this one. I got another one from one of my favorite sites, the one that we've used quite a lot.
You get lost there. You get lost there easily.
Oh yes, it's a rabbit hole for definite. So this is a site called Ancient Origins. It's one that we've used for quite a few of the woo-woo videos. So to tie in what we were just talking about, we have got 50 years of scientific evidence for the existence of Bigfoot. So it says, this is certain to be a very controversial topic, but I've been meticulously researching and investigating the Bigfoot/Yeti/Sasquatch phenomenon since 1971, when I first read Ivan T. Sanderson's breakthrough 1968 book, Abominable Snowman, Legend Come to Life. Have not read that, but I've heard it's a really good book.
It's fascinating because who they're quoting in this article is Jane Goodall. Now, if you don't know who Jane Goodall is, this is a woman who spent how many decades in the jungle working with chimps and apes and knowing simians and getting to know that type of a population. And the quote in this is absolutely fascinating, Purple.
Absolutely, yes. So we've got a quote. She says, "You're talking about a Yeti or Bigfoot or Sasquatch. I'm sure they exist. British scientists have found Yeti hair, they don't match up with DNA cells from any known animal." So this is a quote from Dr. Jane Goodall from 2002.
Yeah, this is a serious woman. This is a woman who essentially gave up her life to spend time working with apes, with primates and things like this in the woods. I don't think she'd sit there and make jokes about Bigfoot. You know what I mean? I think that she knows that something else, and that the locomotion and the way these creatures move, it is not in any way something that you would find in chimps or apes or chimpanzees or any of that stuff. So
absolutely. And hello, we've got a few more people who've joined. So Mech1164, welcome. It says, megalithic structures are a technology we as a culture have lost to time.
Yes.
We think we're the most advanced people around. Hardly, but it will come again.
And here's the problem. This is something that I believe Graham Hancock eloquently expresses, and I believe Randall Carlson as well. Let's say the sun decides to do something wonky tomorrow, throw out a major EMP, electromagnetic pulse. This computer in front of me, these Bluetooth headsets, this ridiculous candy bar of a phone that seems to run my life will never work again. The factories that make them can never be built again. The machines that are mining will not work. Your car will not work. Your toaster won't work. Your pacemaker won't work. Your refrigerator, it's over. It's done. Now, can we as a species, could we recover it to learn to live off the land and grow our own food? Well, some of us can. But this technology, which has all of our records, all of the digitized things that we have, all of our culture, all of our literature, our art, our belief system, it will become entirely inaccessible. You know what will be accessible? Anything carved in stone. The Great Wall in China will be there. The pyramids will be there. The Sphinx, the things that are in South America with all those observatories, they'll be there. But how long did it take us to go from horse and buggies to having supercomputers right now? It was about 100 years when people were still using outhouses. And here, look where we are, guys. How improbable is it that there was not an advanced civilization or multiple ones that could have achieved the same thing that we did, because we had the same brain capacity, we were the same type of creatures at some point in the past 12,000 years or before? That's why I don't buy this stuff. And I'm really troubled by people who are betters, who seem to be pretending that only they are the pinnacle in the absolute apex of what it means to be a human being. One word or two words, the Perry-Reese map. Tell me how that happens. I'll shut up.
Yes, the Antarctica map. Exactly. Yeah. Yes. And if you think what was lost when we lost the Library of Alexandria.
Disgusting. And what does the Vatican have?
Exactly. What have we lost? We've lost, I'm sure, more than we ever knew, but Salt is absolutely right. It won't be anything that is on these computers. It'll be things that are in books, in manuscripts, things that we remember as a society that we can then pass on, because we will be plunged back into the Dark Ages, should it ever happen.
Yeah, and guess how many genders there'll be then? Yeah. I'm just saying,
we'll be back to the original ones. Yeah.
See how well communism works when everybody needs to be working and not just sitting around, pontificating. You know what I mean? That's how that works. That's what it means to be a human being. What we're doing now, what we're encouraging people to do, it's about as far from being a human being as possible, in my opinion.
Psychodorf brings up a good point. He says, weren't Cro-Magnon brains bigger?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think skulls were more dense. I think it has to do with the amount of prions per the brain. But again, I'm not a neurobiologist. I play one on television, but I think that would be a worthy conversation. I think what it has to do is our physicality and walking upright and our capacity for speech, so that we really are Homo sapiens.
But pretty much the only reason we are the dominant species is because I think we're in the top 10 of long distance runners. And thumbs. We can. The only reason we succeeded is because we could pretty much outrun or run down any prey to exhaustion, because that's what we don't sprint very fast, but we have endurance.
Look at the awesome people in chat. We've got Mech1164 says, we are supposedly in the 5th epoch. Many before that did not survive, or did they? Good question. And then, of course, Paul Cook dropping that Robert Jordan lore. Wheel of Time, Salty, Wheel of Time. It's true. Everything that has happened will happen again as happened before. Is there an element of predestination? That's a whole other conversation. I keep talking about that we are all genetically wired with some past trauma. It's called epigenetic trauma. And I do believe that we as a species, we have amnesia, like Graham Hancock likes to say, as well as Randall Carlson. But I also think that whatever we went through as a species, we almost had to de-evolve to survive it. And I think we're still starting to come out of that with so much unused brain capacity that we have. But that's an opinion. So
we do, and that is another fascinating subject, which I think if we do a little bit more research, or especially for me, I think that would be a fantastic show to do as well. And we were talking about the differences between the different species of human. I mean, we have Homo sapien now, which is the top species, but we had Neanderthals. We talked about Cro-Magnons in the chat as well. So,
well, they keep finding different versions of human beings that they said didn't exist in Africa and China. And it's fascinating because neither one of those had the major trauma that occurred here in North America with the asteroid bombardment. Now, there was asteroid bombardment in the Middle East. Go look out that new evidence, especially things around Göbekli Tepe and some of the other tepes they found, because you guys, if you don't know this, they have found more tepes and more of these same type of higher tech areas that have images of animals that were in no way native to the Middle East carved on these huge T structures. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Creatures that couldn't, or at least you would think, couldn't possibly have lived in that area, even back when these places were created. It is a fascinating subject, and that's another one that we're really going to have a deep dive on, the different places that have been found. Daniel, great to see you, Daniel. Says, we think scientists are fact-driven, but they are human beings and just as susceptible to social pressure. They can close their eyes to the unpopular.
And the truth.
Yes.
Especially if it's data that doesn't work out for pharmaceutical companies. Oh, he went there. Yeah, I did.
Magitech Mag says, I still have all my wisdom teeth. Does that make me able to survive the apocalypse? Well, that goes down to evolution as well. If some people don't have wisdom teeth now, we have organs like the appendix, which they say we don't need, but we still have it.
I have all my wisdom teeth.
I do too. Yeah.
My brother, all my siblings had to have them out, but I don't know if I'm like an alligator or a shark or something like that, or what it is. But yeah.
And thank you, Leia Rose. She says Purple and Salty are perfect paranormal hosts. Thank you, lovely. You guys are awesome.
She's the Scully to my Mulder. We'll just say that. So yeah.
Psychodorf says, look up Jose Silva, Salty and Purple. Well,
yeah.
We have got Brightest Day in the chat. Hey, good to see you.
Look at this guy. He's also back on Twitter. He like totally followed me and I pinged him back and I'm like, hey dude, and then never heard from him. Like, it's great to see you. It's great to see you. Congratulations on what you're doing now, and I hope you had fun at the Boston Fan Expo, dude. That's all I want to say.
Yes, that looked like it was a hell of a meetup. You guys had a blast.
Yeah.
Release McCracken, good to see you, says, I'm not sure if you talked about this yet, but scientists have now stated that there is a good chance that Loch Ness type creature is in the waters after finding a full skeleton of a similar creature.
I did mention that out of the gate when we were talking about the Loch Ness stuff. And it's funny because we did a head-to-head matchup of the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot. I think that was one of the first videos we did for the Supernatural Showdown. That's true. And again, this comes down to there is new data. There are new digs. There is new physical evidence. People going out into the field as opposed to repeating and parroting what previous established generations of academics have said. And that's the real trick, especially with this asteroid impact stuff, looking at the ice cores from Greenland and from Iceland. They're starting to absolutely refute what has been the dogma of archaeology and geology for a number of years. And will it stick? Will they let the truth be known? I don't know. I really hope they do. Will it be in my lifetime? I don't know. But it's wonderful to get these discoveries. It's wonderful to know that.
Yeah, I like to think so. And let's just say we're still finding things. I mean, I pulled up just a few weeks ago, there was a really interesting article about an aquatic marine dinosaur that had been found in Texas intact, which was incredible. Mammoths that have been found in Texas as well.
Oh, yeah.
And Mexico. It is amazing.
Yeah, and there's a text in Brightest Day, dude. Don't worry about it. I wasn't trying to call you out. I was just trying to be enthusiastic, dude. You know that. I'm always bothering you to come and do shows with me, and I get it. But we have a dinosaur state park here in Texas. It's about halfway between where I am and Dallas, and amazing footprints. There's amazing fossils that are there, and of course, they have one of the biggest, cheesiest gift shops you have ever seen in your life. But there's actually a guy who has a little shack right on the border of the state park, and it literally is just a little shack, and he sells worms for fishing and all this other stuff. But he has all of these artifacts that he's found, like shark teeth and vertebrae, and what is the thing that you sent me? What is that called? Purple?
The ammonites.
The ammonites and all these other things. And there's so much we don't know. There's so much they didn't teach us. And I always ask myself, why did they not tell us about this stuff? Why did they? Is it because they didn't want us to know this? Is it because these teachers didn't know this themselves? I mean, it really pisses me off because I would have much rather had this understanding and more appreciation for the natural world than, say, some of the more abstract things that are out there.
Agreed. And I've always found this fascinating. I mean, what kids don't love dinosaurs, especially at a young age? I mean, some people kind of grow out of it, but I've always been kind of fascinated by them. And I think that's what kind of started the whole idea of the paranormal. Dinosaurs then led on to, cryptids, and cryptids went on to ghosts, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's wild because I don't necessarily consider Bigfoot to be paranormal. I think Bigfoot is a zoological question, I mean, could it exist? Yes. Why haven't we seen them? I don't know. I mean, again, are they interdimensional? Oh, that's a rabbit hole, right? But
well, jumping back to what it says here, obviously the most famous footage is that, as you saw just above, is the Robert Gimlin film. It was filmed on the 16mm camera, and you see the Bigfoot kind of walking off in the distance, swinging their arms, and they said that is the most compelling piece of evidence, at least anybody has ever been able to capture. Now, a lot of people have said over the years that it was faked, it was somebody in a suit. Various people have come forward and said, yeah, it was me, I made this suit, but every time they've done it, they haven't been able to provide evidence for it. It's all kind of hearsay. So until somebody comes forward and with concrete evidence to prove that this thing wasn't real, I think that this was actually real.
Even if you discount this, because Purple, I'm on the fence with this. I'm on the fence with this footage. But what I'm not on the fence with is what, again, David Paulides did in Missing 411 The Hunted. And I think that's a whole other thing. If you have not watched, and again, I wish I was getting a residual. I wish David Paulides, was in our chat going, thanks, Salty, or something. But this is just somebody whose work I appreciate. And David Paulides, Missing 411 The Hunted, go check it out, because it talks about some firsthand experiences hunters had in deep, dark forest land in California in the 70s and in the 80s. And it's fascinating. They have audio recordings of calls that were going around them by unknown cryptids that were then analyzed by multiple universities who tried to see if it was just these guys, drunk, hooting and hollering. And multiple universities said that there's no way that this was a human being doing this. And again, these are recorded in the 70s before we had, computers and stuff like that. Most people didn't even have an portable 8-track player. Cassette tapes didn't exist during that time. It wasn't until the late 70s. So, that's the kind of stuff that I look at. And then also some of the footprints, and then some of the stories from children who disappeared into the woods and were presumed to be dead, and then said that this big hairy man took them and took care of them.
Yeah.
Those are fascinating, And
we've got a long list of evidence, which I'm going to kind of go over a couple in a second, but let me give a shout out to Sil Abdul. Good to see you, Sil. He's absolutely crushing it at the moment. Hope you're having a good day. And let me just jump back to Mech1164 says, Bigfoot is a lost branch of human evolution, one that stays in the deep woods and works well there.
Then I should be a Bigfoot, because I need to be deep in the woods, and you all can keep this crazy shit that's going on now, because I'm done. I'm over it, guys. Like, don't tell me I have to eat bugs and we don't have enough energy and all this other stuff. No, don't need a social credit system. Just need to leave me the F alone. I'll be in the woods with Bigfoot. Seriously.
But Martin says it was Culture Casino, I tell you.
Okay, that's plausible.
Yes. Again, evidence. So it says the long list of Bigfoot evidence. Dr. Ketchum made very exciting news 3 years later on February 13th, 2013. Her groundbreaking Bigfoot DNA study was finally released, entitled Novel North American Hominids. It's a 63-page document, and some of the reports in there are pretty interesting. So there were over 200 samples submitted, tested positive for unknown primates. 34 came back as unknown. Of individual Bigfoots, there were 20 to 28. One tested positive for unknown primate, which they've listed under as Yeti, which was interesting. And a little bit further down as well, so details of a successful Bigfoot sample. So we have 5 hair samples from Golden Ears Provincial Park in British Columbia, Canada, from 5 separate creatures. We've got a toenail from Larry Jenkins in the Grand Canyon area of Arizona.
Who finds a toenail? Who finds a toenail in Arizona and goes, you know what?
In the Grand Canyon.
This could be something big, and then sends it in. I'm not saying they're crazy. I'm just admiring that dedication to excellence that whomever found that, picking up toenails in the Grand Canyon.
We've got, what else have we got? We've got a hair sample from Joe Black in the Great Smoky Mountains of Eastern Tennessee.
See, that's no joke. There's like, if you if anybody who's been on the Appalachian Trail or lives in eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina, you don't need me to tell you what it's like out there. You go out there to some of those mountain balds on the Appalachian Trail, Smoky Mountain, Cherokee National Forest, all around there. And same thing into Virginia. Don't mean to be discriminatory. There's a whole lot of deep places. And it's just, you can very easily get lost there. But that would be a Bigfoot super habitat. It really, really would be. But I think it would be a very different species than you would have in the Pacific Northwest and going up the British Columbia and up into the Yukon. I really do believe that. But you know.
This one is one of my particular favorites. It says a large sample of saliva from the Olympic project, Bigfoot licking a camera in 2009.
Why do I have the feeling that was in Portland, Oregon? Pretty sure that was in Portland, Oregon.
Let's see if they've got anything else. This is quite a long article, as you can tell, guys. So what I'll probably do is link it in the description below if you guys want to check it out, and please check out this site because it is one of our favorites.
Look at the dates though, just going by. Look, scroll back up, Purple, will you? Just scroll back up because it was just stop. So nope, just right there, stop. So there's a paper written in June 2011 says Sasquatch DNA tested 100% Homo sapien, blah 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 blah. So clearly and unequivocally from the Franco-Cantabrian glacial refuge 15,000 years ago, the only conceivable migration path. So look at this stuff. I mean, what happened? Do we know? Did they have computers back then? If they had paper books, how long does it take before a book rots away? You know? I mean, if it doesn't take long, in whatever they used for ink fades, or people like other generations that didn't even care, they just needed to keep warm, and so they're going to burn paintings and books to keep warm, or someone came up and wanted to make a new religion to control the population. So what do? You have to destroy the past. You have to destroy the past in order to erase it so people just go willy-nilly into whatever the new thing is. Interesting. They're doing that to our culture and entertainment right now too.
I was going to say that sounds quite familiar indeed.
Yeah, must just be a coincidence. Yeah.
Mag says the Smoky Mountains are beautiful. Never been, but I've heard they are incredible. And Ian Saforth, thank you so much. He says, I'm a little skeptical. If Bigfoot existed, surely he'd have dated Amber Heard like everybody else. True.
Depends on how much money does he have, though, Ian Saforth. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm just saying if Bigfoot had enough money. Yeah. And the Kardashians too, let's be honest. I think the Kardashians would go after Bigfoot. I mean, if they went after that loser who was on Saturday Night Live, you know who I'm talking about, the guy with all the tattoos that's really gross. If they're gonna bone him, they jump on Bigfoot in a minute, you know?
Well, to be fair, has anyone seen Ron Perlman recently? So
he was mouthing off on social media about Orange Man. I remember that. But other than that,
he usually does, doesn't he? Bless him. Brandon, good to see you, says Bigfoot licked a camera. Wow.
I know. What does he think? He's Lizzo? What's going on here? I know.
We sent the chess off on a tangent talking about cameras.
Good. Let's be tangential together. Welcome to Corey's brain. Imagine if you put Disparu and I together and give us unlimited sugar. How crazy that would be. Oh my God. Yeah, and we've got Dragon Roo says his favorite Bigfoot film is The Legend of Boggy Creek. I've seen that. It's available free to watch on Amazon Prime. Check it out. It's a good movie.
I always liked Harry and the Hendersons. I know it's a kiddie film, but I thought it was good. And I like the look of the Bigfoot.
Yeah. But check out Missing 411 The Hunted. That is... There's something that happens in the crazy mountains. Just going to say that with a bow hunter. And that to me is absolutely haunting. And again, David Politis has a channel here on YouTube. It's called Missing 411. And all he does is talk about missing persons cases throughout American history and then recent as well. And people are disappearing from national parks every day and not being found. Now, some are, or some, or they don't find anything. In some cases, like they'll find their thermos set on a rock and their boots are taken off, but they don't find them. Their backpack, nothing. They find nothing. And it's not just in North America, it's in Australia, it's in the UK. I
Yep.
mean, it's in Europe as well. It's fascinating stuff. And it's just, I don't know. Check it out. It's a good rabbit hole.
It is, and it's one that we're fascinated in, and we are going to talk about it. It's one of those subjects that I wouldn't feel right doing unless I had a really good kind of base
Yeah.
of knowledge and I knew
Yeah.
exactly how we wanted to tackle it. But
Yeah.
rest assured, guys, we are going to talk about it. Paul Cook says missing 411 is quite unnerving, gave me the chills.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And this guy has a data point system where he analyzes things. It's not just like, oh, Jim disappeared on a bender in the woods. It's like, no, it has to meet all this criteria before he considers it and then investigates it. And it's fascinating stuff. It's really fascinating stuff.
They rule out, foul play, animal predation, that sort of thing. And as Stolty said, there's a whole list of things that they have to tick before they're even considered to being attached to it. But yes, and Smile for a While says, or they find a body years later in a place they walked through many times before.
It's crazy. It is. Or look, oh God, I don't want to ruin it for you. Or they find a child who disappeared 2 years earlier. No one knew where it went. And somebody hikes up the side of a mountain and finds its shoes that it was wearing perfectly, looking perfect, despite being in the mountains under multiple seasons of heavy snowfall and rain and weather. Shoes look perfect. And its skull is there. And a little toy is sitting next to the skull on a branch.
Yep.
What the hell is that? That's creepy, right? I'm not saying it's Bigfoot, but I'm saying what the hell happened here? Because if it's been searched, how does that just magically happen? Like Magitech, Mags, and Smile for a While talk about. So,
absolutely. And Mag says, where is the 411 broadcast from?
David Politis is actually in southern Montana. He lives out there. He's a former San Diego police officer, I believe. He's been in Montana for a while. But you can just look up the YouTube channel Missing 411 and don't go for all the other people that ripped Mr. Politis off. Go and find the one that says David Politis. Really good guy. Really good guy. So,
what we'll do is I'll link it in the Wolf Chats after the show, guys, so you guys can check it out. But just before we start to wind down, I wanted to show you some of the other kind of awesome things that we can cover.
Wait. So, alien petroglyphs in Chile.
Yes. I thought you'd like that.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about.
We've got stuff about firewalkers. We've got stuff about Atlantis. What else have we got? We've got
Romania's enigmatic trovents, living rocks that grow and move.
Yes.
Don't tell me we know everything there is to know. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me how we need to change our genders and become one with machines. What we need to do is go back to nature, and not in the Pol Pot way where everybody starves to death under communism. I mean, we need to get in touch with this out here. This. We don't need to climb into our computers and live there.
Absolutely. And this one I'll probably look into as well, which is like one of the tepes that we've talked about, home to 20,000, but who built it? The underground city of Derinkuyu.
Why were they living underground? What were they hiding from? Fascinating stuff.
But this is great, and this is just unexplained. I mean, we can go to myths, places, weird facts, which is pretty fun. But this site is it's one of my favorites. It's definitely one of my go-tos for interesting articles.
I feel bad that we've kind of ignored the woo-woo because I've been so committed to the Tolkien project that I have, and I'm glad I did it. Absolutely no regrets, but it's so much fun to talk about this stuff and to hear things from people in chat on their perspectives. Because again, I don't just need to make shit up to because I want to be mysterious. I do think there's I think we know 3 to 5% of something. In a lot of cases, especially with archaeology, I think our brains have been ruined by lots of dogma and reactive dogma going back to the mid-20th century. And I really think there's a lot of things as our technology has evolved and we've understood just how frequently the planet is bombarded with asteroids and meteorites and other things like that, that we are in a shooting gallery. And we've been really lucky during our lifetime, essentially, But it's fascinating, and I think on the next Woo Woo show we have to talk about the asteroid that's coming in December. This is not something Corey pulled out of his ass. There's a major, huge asteroid that's going to come within the satellite belt that we have around the planet, and people are not entirely sure if it's going to ding off and whiz off, or will it hit? Who knows? But it's fascinating, and I haven't wanted to talk about it because I don't want to sound like that guy, but I want to see what they're predicting, because this is one of the weirdest things that I think in my lifetime I've seen, is something coming this close, and it is huge. It's not refrigerator huge. It's not semi huge. It's like huge stadium huge. So it'll be really weird. Yeah.
Yes, it's a significant thing coming towards us, and nobody's talking about it.
No.
Which is weird.
That's why I'm bringing it up, because when they talk about it, it's bullshit. We all know this, right? Like that thing where you needed to get all the jabs for it, nonstop talking about it. You know why? Because it was bullshit. Now we got something like this. They're not talking about it. I'm not saying it's the end of the world, but I'm gonna check it out.
I can think of a few people that would be hoping that the asteroid does actually hit, considering what's gone on. But yes.
People have mentioned that in our live shows before, and I know it has nothing to do with us. It's not taking me personally. Yeah, I've said there's a couple places I wish they'd land. Just say that, yeah, let's go, Brandon. Anyway, yeah.
And Mech 1164 says, before the flood, there was an area where the English Channel is that was dry, fertile ground called Doggerland.
Yeah, and the continental shelf wasn't just something clever that existed underwater arbitrarily. The continental shelf was where the ocean level was 12,000 years ago. And then that asteroid impact came in that caused major global changes to the weather. Much like volcanoes, the two legitimate things that actually cause changes to the climate, not cows farting. Much like now, major civilizations would have been based around waterways. Of course, everybody wanted to be on the beach and on the ocean. Of course, people wanted to be on the Mississippi and any other major waterway. When these asteroid impacts happened and North America was flooded, guess what happened to the Mississippi? It flooded out hundreds of miles and carved a channel that you can see, if you can see it, especially in Minnesota. And that's one of the things Randall Carlson talks about. But yeah. Hey, it's great.
It's great. Good morning. Good to see you.
Sorry, I'm ranting. I just love this stuff so much, Purple. I do.
I love it, and I think this has been kind of like a palate cleanser, because we've been so kind of focused on pop culture and talking about what's going on. It's nice to kind of have a breather, have a fun show, and get to talk with you guys, because you guys really know your stuff.
Yeah, this is fun. This is a lot of fun. I love talking about this, but Purple, you're not wrong. If you guys are worn down and frustrated about what's going on with your fandoms, with Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, you name it, look what they did to A League of Their Own. How stupid do you have to be to do stuff like that? Just rhetorical question. And now with the Rings of Power, Morford Clark mouthing off yesterday on Instagram. Big thanks again to Maxfield Von Priestley for shouting that out. Yes. We know what's coming. Now we're all going to be racist and misogynist, and don't worry, when they start talking about all of the gender neutral characters in the Second Age and all of the queer relationships in the Second Age, they'll call us even more names. And it's like, at some point, it's exhausting. Did you guys feel that way? Like, just enough. Just like enough. Let's talk about Bigfoot. Let's talk about,
we haven't even got the show yet, and it's already
extinction level events. Let's talk about dinosaurs and tepes and ancient aliens and advanced civilizations. It's interesting, though. They have pretty much ransacked all of Western civilization, haven't they? There are some fantasy series. I wouldn't say second tier, but they kind of are second tier fantasy authors, science fiction authors. They haven't got to yet. Who knows what they're going to do with Brandon Sanderson? Because I think that's the next big thing.
That'll be the next.
But it's like, man, they've tried to take everything away from us. I don't believe they can, but one thing they are doing is they're destroying it for future generations. So buy physical media. If you have kids or younger people in your families, show them what the source material is, please.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think We always say that because we've got a very smart chat, but we will keep saying that, guys, because it is so important. If you don't like what you've got now, go back to the past, because that's where the gold is.
This is why I love Gray from Wakazashi's Tea House. He says machine elves. He is, of course, referring to drinking ayahuasca. We should do an episode just on ayahuasca.
Yes.
And how in the Amazon jungles somebody knew advanced biochemistry in order to drink this incredibly potent hallucinogenic. Because if you drank it, nothing would happen to you. You have to take an enzyme inhibitor that is created. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. These guys were like doing 100% pure uncut LSD, only cooler, so that if you drink it, you see machine elves, just like Gray from Wakazashi's Tea House. Like, Joe Rogan saw him. Everybody who takes it, it's like, I want to know about that.
I've got to admit, I am very curious to see what it would be like. Just to, for a scientific study, just to try. Absolutely. But guys, we are going to start to wrap up. But before I do, Salty, what have you got coming up?
I'm going to be dropping 2 videos tomorrow. I'm going to be dropping the number 15, I believe, for the Fire of Phantom, which is the what I thought was going to be the midpoint of a 30 video series, which is a lot of work, but I'm really proud of it. After that, I'm actually going to do a live show, if not this week, then this weekend, talking about some of the best information, things I learned from the Fast 15 interview people that I did for that show. I'm going to be dropping another video tomorrow, which is, I would say, a very quantitative analysis of toxic fandom. And how pattern recognition is your friend. Pay attention to patterns, pay attention to language and when things happen. And so that's kind of what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to drop that video, and it's going to, of course, be all about what we've been hearing since 2015, 2016, all the way to where we are now, and the evolution of discrediting fans. So I'm doing that. And then, of course, I'm going to have my Tuesday live show tomorrow night, going to be on Zach's Thursday show. And then I have no idea what else I'm doing. I might be working with Nerdporial. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, so lots of good stuff. And Paul says it's a great series, Salty. It really is. Yeah, absolutely is.
I wanted something positive. Because I knew Morphed Clark was going to do what she did. And when they start naming us all racist, I wanted to have this pre-set up so that I could draw out all the positive comments about why people actually love Tolkien and the problem they have with the Rings of Power. And I think that's what this series has done, is it's like, I think it's in one small way, just discrediting this nonsense, because it is nonsense. It's just Marxist bullshit from people who hate us in Hollywood. They hate us.
They do. So. Yeah, it is. It's not a secret. But we, as you can see, Salty is working incredibly hard. So please, guys, please check out those videos and join us on Tuesday night for the live stream, because we always have a fantastic chat. Some of the Tuesday shows, they just seem to be getting better and better with the topics that we have.
I agree. I'm honored and blessed to get to work with you, Maxfield Von Priestley, Zax, Gray from Wakazashi's Tea House, Nathan Amanda Manethrin, Hollywood Scholar, Prophet of the Dragon. I mean, it's a great group of people. And it's an alternative to, let's say, shows that maybe have too many guests and go too long, and maybe you can't understand what anybody's saying. I've tuned out of a lot of things like that, and it's nothing personal toward anybody. I don't know if I grew it or I just want to do something else now, but that's the kind of show that I have. I'm trying to make videos and content of things that I would want to see. So, yeah.
Agreed. And that's exactly why we did today's show. Something fun that we can geek out about, but also get you guys involved with as well. And I think we had a great show. So thank you. Thank you, Salty, and thank you, chat. You guys are awesome. What have I got coming up? I will be back, obviously, tomorrow night with Salty on his channel. And I will be back on Wednesday as well to do a little bit of a kind of news roundup. But I've got some exciting news about a game that I absolutely love that's getting a remaster, but it's getting remastered by the fans.
Whoa. Will there be trans representation?
There will not be trans representation, and I'm even more excited.
Yay.
And the latter half of the week might be a little bit up in the air because I've actually managed to get a membership to the Discworld convention, so I'll be going there. So looking forward to that. And guys, if you didn't see the show yesterday,
you're gonna have to live stream, and I might be bothering you to buy things. So yeah.
Yes, I will pick stuff up and I will live stream, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up with some of the people here. We've got some fans and people who I know, so that is going to be a lot of fun. But guys, a huge thank you to Salty for being an amazing co-host as always. Love getting to talk woo woo. We need to do it more. We need to do at least a couple more, at least once a fortnight.
At least once a week, I think, at this point. I need it. I need to cleanse my brain, and God only help us after the Rings of Power comes out. And God help us all. Yeah, we're going to need to talk about something fun.
I think so. You're absolutely right. So, guys, have a fantastic rest of your Monday. Hope to see you tomorrow night. Please check out the videos that will be coming out before that as well. And, guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who joined, everyone who sent super stickers, who sent super chats. Can't get my words out because I need a drink. You guys are amazing.
Ladies, vodka tonic for Purple Stat. Can I just shout out the mods real quick? Thank you to the mods who were there. We were under a bot attack last night, and I don't think they get enough credit for things. So thanks for modding today. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you to Deba. Thank you to Brandon. Thank you to Salty as well, and Zax, I think, was in there as well. So you guys are amazing. Thank you, guys. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you guys very soon. Take care.